results cannot be achieved in one financial year's budget, but also it is a strategy that cannot be achieved in one parliamentary term. So it is, we are in it for the long term. Also, the parish development model deepens decentralization. Colleagues, as you may know, in 1992, Uganda government decided to deliver its services through a decentralization system. And in 2006, they came up with another objective under the Local Government Act policy, which is about local economic development. The PDM is basically trying to deepen decentralization and therefore support local economic development. The envisaged transformation will require a finance plus approach. I wanted to emphasize that because there has been a huge obsession about the money that is going to be sent under the parish revolving fund, which is a much welcome capital injection to our community businesses. But the transformation of the households into the money economy will require a finance plus approach. That means, therefore, that government will deliver numerous services to the people of Uganda. So these services, of course, will include infrastructure, it will include water for irrigation, water point in each and every village in Uganda. It will include financial services, of course, which is the most talked about service. It will include law and order, which in any case will support all Ugandans in the community. Education with the primary school in each parish, and of course secondary school at sub-county level. But we're talking about kindergartens, primary schools, secondary schools, technical schools, and education broadly. It will include services, extension services, commercial services. This is now where commercial offices across the country will become our business advisors, not just cooperative support agencies, but our business advisors as government to the people across the country. But also the non-state actors can play a huge part in the delivery of these commercial services, especially business development services. Then community development services. Healthcare is going to be important, delivered by both the public and the private sector, but with emphasis on preventive health, and where prevention doesn't work, then of course preventive health will come in, but the emphasis should be given to preventive health, good nutrition, good hygiene, fitness, and things like that. The roads are going to be extremely important for districts, urban and community roads. Our produce from our farms to the markets if the roads are very poor. Storage facilities for both fresh goods and dry goods is another service. Environmental services, processing, which is cleaning, sorting, drying, packaging, and milling. All these are important services that the government wants to deliver to the people. Then energy for cooking, lighting, and industry. Information, communication technology, ICT, especially with a focus on last mile connectivity infrastructure, but also ensuring that every Ugandan is able to be connected to the internet and the telephone systems, because we are going to digitize under the parish development model. We are going to digitize all transactions, all processes, all activities. We'll be able to have a digital identity of every subsistence household, every household, what the bankers call the KYC, they know your customer. So we capture as much information as possible on the household, which can then make business decision making easier, it makes lending easier, it makes the delivery of all the other services that we are talking about easier. Therefore, if ICT is going to be crucial as a service delivered by the government of Uganda. And of course, finally, the financial services. And in financial services here, we talk about savings, we talk about credit, we talk about insurance. All loans for agriculture, for farming enterprises under the PDM will be insured. And then, of course, we talk about the payment platforms, because we know that most of our people are not connected to the banking sector. Our banks are not everywhere across the country, but our people can now join the money economy through their digital platforms, their mobile phones, agency banking, and more and other similar initiatives. So the reason I presented that is that I wanted to emphasize that while the money under the parish revolving fund is crucial, the PDM is not just about that money. It is about the delivery of comprehensive services that will work together to transform our household at their level. So those services translate into seven pillars, and in no particular order, we have laid those pillars as you can see on the diagram, and the foundation of all our work under the parish development model is pillar 6, which is called the Parish Development Management Information System, which we will be using to collect data on each and every household, thereby enabling government to plan better using evidence, actual evidence on the ground. This is not going to be surveys as it has always been done. It will be actual databases being developed for each parish, so that if I want to plan for a school in that particular parish or sub-county, the system, the PDMIS system will enable us to know how many school-going children in this particular parish. If I wanted to look at this, say, health services, I then need to know how many young, how many youth, how many elderly. So service delivery becomes easier. But also for lending purposes, it will enable us to know who our target market is, that is the subsistence household. We should use this system to identify the subsistence households. But beyond that, we should be able now to have a complete database on the person that we lend the money to. So for example, if we lend you money on the system and you decide to move from Kono to PG and and in the process try to default on the loan, as soon as you reach in PG and you try to apply for another loan of the PDMIS, the system will tell us that you have defaulted previously. So it will help to even build credit profiles and therefore the referencing of these people who have traditionally been excluded from the financial sector. That will be very good news for even for existing banks and MFIs who have actually more money than what the government is putting in, but they actually have no information about this group of people that the country is currently targeting. So that pillar, at the moment, government has collected data on about 41% the households in the country against the total population, against the total households of about 8.9. And the process is ongoing, and hopefully by the end of next month, we'll have covered the whole country and we will know exactly who is where. Then there is pillar 1, which is the delivery of services to the agricultural value chain, basically to improve, to encourage end-to-end value chain development in production, storage, processing, and marketing. In this pillar, of course, this pillar speaks to Uganda's National Development Plan, and in particular, the program number 1 on agro-industrialization. Then In terms of wealth creation, this pillar is going to be crucial because this is where real business will take place. This is where real wealth creation activities in farming, in buying and selling agricultural produce, in processing, in storing agricultural produce. So this is a very, very important pillar. And it applies both in urban areas and also in rural areas, in urban areas. In rural areas, the government has guided that people under this pillar should focus more on farming. And the cabinet has come up with 6 commercial value chain and food that anybody in the rural area who wants to make money can engage in for now. These are piggery, the poultry, these fisheries, these dairy cow on zero grazing, and these coffee, grown coffee, and the fruits. These are commercial, but each household practicing any of those enterprises must grow their own food, and therefore that becomes a 7th commodity. For example, if I pick coffee as an household enterprise, I will need to grow matoke within my coffee. I can grow beans when the coffee is still very young, so my coffee gets nitrogen, but I also get the beans to eat. So you have a mix of commercial enterprises, but also food enterprises to ensure food security at a household level, but at the same time, your commercial enterprises will give you an income. But we expect in that particular case in the rural areas for people to even come up with an enterprise mix that I will not only focus on coffee. I may have coffee, but I may also have pigsty somewhere. I have my free range chicken moving around, giving me eggs to sell on a regular basis. I can then grow my coffee and my matoke. And at the end of the day, I have different income streams that can enable me to become financially secure. In the urban area, in the rural areas, of course, the government has picked those 6 commercial products with the food as the 7th, bearing in mind the fact that many Ugandans in the subsistence economy have a problem of access to land. But majority are farming on about 1.3 acres. And therefore, because the land is a very big issue, we will focus more on intensive farming. And these commodities are proven to have a higher return per acre per annum. More research will definitely be carried out in other value chains, for example, rabbits and others that would even give you a better return. But for these 6 commercial enterprises, the government has numbers which they believe that if you have a small piece of land with intensive farming, you can actually make a higher return per acre per annum. However, if you have 4 acres, then the government is promoting a 4-acre model where they will tell you to allocate 1 acre to food crops, you allocate another acre say to coffee, another acre for growing grass for fodder for your animals, and you could have your chicken in the backyard. Of course, you have your vegetables in the backyard garden, and fish at the periphery of the swamp. So someone with 4 acres is actually in a much better position to increase their return on investment using the 4-acre model. But when it comes to urban areas are going to be the market centers for the products that are coming from our rural areas. As such, the urban businesses, micro enterprises in urban areas will focus more on dealing in inputs like seeds, fertilizers, acaricides, drugs, name it. Because as we all know, anywhere across the country, farmers want inputs. they find them in urban and peri-urban areas. So it's a lucrative business for the Ugandans in the peri-urban and urban areas. But they will also involve in storage and processing and marketing of anything. It could be production of juice. It would be, for example, nyama choma, roasting of meat and chicken. It could be the buying and selling of vegetables. Anything that they can't do along the value chain except farming. But also urban farming will be encouraged, will be promoted, but a bigger emphasis in urban areas is going to be on those areas that I've talked about. We will promote a business mindset among these subsistence households operating under this value chain, so that every business, every enterprise that the household picks is looked at it as a business that is profitable and can sustainably transform the household from where they are into the money economy. So it must make business sense for anybody to operate in any of these agricultural value chains. Then the second pillar, of course, is on infrastructure and economic services, which I will not focus on a lot. The third pillar is financial inclusion, which is where a lot of mileage has been so far been made. On financial inclusion, the focus is to look at all the major financing products, i.e., credit, insurance, savings, and payments platform. Government is creating a parish revolving fund, which is 100 million shillings for this financial year for each and every parish. And this 100 million will be sent to a cooperative that will be established by subsistence households in a given parish. But beyond the parish revolving fund, that cooperative is expected to mobilize savings among its members. At the beginning, the people will not have money to save because they are stuck in the vicious cycle of low incomes. Because they have no incomes, they can't save. Because they can't save, they can't invest. If you don't invest, you don't earn. So it becomes a cycle. So the PDM is coming to break that cycle. So initially, savings will not be forced, but as soon as credit will be encouraged through the parish revolving fund. When people start earning, then the PDM circle, which is that local cooperative formed at the parish level, will encourage the members to start saving from the little money that they get from the sales, from their revenue, their turnover as businesses. So that pillar will not work in isolation. It must work with the pillar 1 on agricultural value chain development. Without pillar 1, there is no pillar 3. So this PDM circle, therefore, which we are forming, is not a circle in the ordinary sense of a circle. It is a cooperative that will be a center for integrated service delivery at the parish level, helping its members to produce profitably, to process if possible, and to market profitably. But as they do that, it also helps to manage the parish revolving fund or any other financial resources that the circle can get elsewhere. They can borrow from banks, for example. They get lines of credit from banks. They could get lines of credit from any donor agency. So the finance function of this cooperative, or the PDM circle, will manage the loans, the funds on behalf of its members. But it will also mobilize savings. Like I said, insurance will be compulsory for all of the farming enterprises in the rural areas. So the PDM circle will also help to ensure that the members are all insured. And if there is any eventuality at all anywhere, then the PDM circle can liaise with insurance companies to ensure that the members are compensated accordingly. Of course, it will be the one that will promote our payment platforms to ensure that all the members are connected to the digital financing platforms, which will eventually enable them to get onto into the financial space. The pillar 4, of course, is social services on education and health. I've talked about that. Pillar 5 is on communication, community mobilization and mindset change, which is really important if our people are to change from where they are to the next level. And of course, the last pillar, number 7, is governance and administration, where we have been able to recruit parish chiefs to form a parish development committee at the parish level. At the district level, we've been able to form district PDM coordination teams, and then core implementation teams at the district level. To the national level, there have been an establishment of a PDM secretariat under the Ministry of Local Government, but technical working groups have been established for each of the 7 pillars. And then there is a National Policy Committee, which is chaired by the President, also under Pillar 7. So these pillars will work together. We are not going to prioritize one pillar over the other, but we will sequence implementation. In the sequencing of implementation, we started with pillar 7, which is to establish PDM structures, and those structures are currently in place. The National Policy Committee chaired by the President is there. The Secretariat headed by Honorable Galabuzi is there under the Ministry of Local Government. Parish chiefs have been recruited across the country, and the PDCs have been activated. Then the second activity, which is basically community mobilization and the PDMIs. This has had to be done before any other pillar. For instance, you cannot collect data from anybody in the rural areas without having mobilized them to understand why we are collecting data. So we had to mobilize the masses. So you must have seen a lot of activities taking place last financial year, and especially towards the end in June. But training and sensitization of technical and political leaders was carried out as a result. These are the ones that are now helping us to spread the word. Community meetings were held to ensure that these Ugandans who attended were able to be brought up to speed about what the PDM is, how it would work, and how they would benefit. Then we started with data collection. Tools were developed, an IT system was developed, and now data, as I have said, is being collected across the country and is centrally filed under the Ministry of ICT, but with support from UBOS that oversees the quality control processes of the exercise. And of course, the identification of subsistence household was done across the country, but this was marred by a number of implementation challenges, which are currently being corrected through a verification exercise undertaken by Operation Wealth Creation across the country. But it will also be beefed up by the actual data that is coming in under the data collection, because there we are now able to know who exactly is a subsistence household using scientific methods. The wealth ranking was not as objective, it's more subjective depending on where you are. And of course, enterprise selection took place under that. So pillar 5 and pillar 6 are being implemented. The reason I'm presenting this is that I've heard people who are saying PDM has only focused on only one pillar. It is not true, as you can see. Then pillar 3, phase 3, which is the community organization and strengthening. Under community organization and strengthening, we were able to form enterprise groups. We will be able to train and register all of them. However, that is a continuous process which is not going to be time-barred. We will continue, government will continue to form those groups, to support households to form the groups, train them, prepare them for success. The PDM circle formation, circles have been formed, over 8,300 30-something SACCOs have been registered by the Register of Cooperatives, and other SACCOs are being registered. Across the country, these SACCOs were formed, but many of them had technical challenges, technical problems. So the registrar was unable to give all of them a certificate of registration. So his team is currently working with those SACCOs that were formed but had not complied with all the requirements. So the team is helping them to comply, and therefore eventually he will give them a registration certificate. Bank accounts are also being opened to ensure in this phase, to ensure that each PDM SACCO that has got a certificate of registration from the Register of Cooperatives, each SACCO that has the accounting officers, the CAOs, have issued an attestation form, which basically says that this SACCO in that parish, the formation process has followed the PDM guidelines. And of course, the members have held a first general meeting. So it's a long list of criteria that the Ministry of Finance has given out before money is sent to any of these people. So far, you have not seen me talking about money being sent, but they're building the structures and the systems, putting them in place. It has not been a smooth sail. It's a very, very tough exercise, but I think sometime next month, money may start flowing in those PDM SACCOs that have actually followed the right procedures and are ready to serve their members. And then, of course, the first process, the first stage is the rollout of the PDM services. Of course, in this particular case, that's where money will now be sent to the people across the country. So far, pillars 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7 have been implemented. Pillars 2 on infrastructure services will be mainly implemented through the budgets of local governments. And then basically pillar 4 and pillar 3. And of course, at the center, where the center plays a role, for example, under pillar 4 on education, where the Ministry of Education plays a huge role on schools across the country. It is realigning its budgets to ensure that the budgets, its activities as the Ministry of Education are aligned to the parish development model. The same applies to the Ministry of Health on health services to ensure that the health services across the country are aligned to the parish development model. So pillar 2 and pillar 4, pillar 2 on infrastructure services, pillar 4 on social services are going to be implemented through the budgets of the different ministries. Once the rollout has taken place, starting from probably next month, we will over time start the monitoring, evaluation, and learning. But this has been an ongoing process since we started, for example, the establishment of the PDM structures in phase 1. Has been learning and tweaking different things that we had overseen based on the challenges on the ground. We try to shape our implementation, ensuring that actually success eventually is achieved. This entire process, I must say, is not has not been the easiest sale, as I said. It has faced a lot of challenges. Of course, there have been issues on preparations, especially from the center, the issues of financial releases, budget releases to the local governments to implement certain activities. So there have been some delays, and in some cases, there has been a lot of rushing through the different processes. But we are looking at the PDM the same way you would do the shipbuilding, that you build the ship and refine it as it sails. So we have done most of the basics, and the modifications will continue taking place as the implementation starts. I wanted to also show you the linkages that on my left hand, where you're seeing these households, here where you're seeing households, on that side, that's where we have, in a particular parish, we'll have households like mine that are not in the subsistence, but you will have other households that are in the subsistence economy. So the households in the subsistence economy will be grouped together around income generating activities. Those that are in fish, those are in piggery, those that are in dairy. They form groups of a minimum of 10 households and a maximum of 30 households. And those groups come together at the parish level in terms of the federation. They federate at the parish level to form this PDM circle, which I have explained has nothing to do with circles, but it's a multi-purpose cooperative that promotes production, processing, storage, and financial services. So the different enterprise groups in a particular parish will federate at the parish level to form that cooperative, which have got a PDM circle. But within the same parish, there are other players. The reason I'm presenting this is because SMEs now come in here. How do SMEs tap in? Within the same area, there are NGOs, there are community-based organizations like Caritas operating there, faith-based organizations. All of them will be operating in the parish. That some of them have been set up previously to support the subsistence households. We want now to say that they should deliver their services through the PDM circle, which is a center for integrated service delivery. But there will be other government programs that for so many years have excluded the poor people. For example, the agriculture ACDP, Cluster Development Project, or the Value Chain Development Project, which or UGIFT, which require the farmer or the household to make a contribution towards the service. So, and then the government matches that contribution for a long time, because of these poor households did not have the capacity to make a contribution. They had been left out of those programs. So now, through their PDM circle, those households can now borrow some money, which enables them to get the requisite contribution to make towards these other government programs, and so that they can also tap into them. So the PDM is not in isolation. It links with other government programs by building the muscles of the households that were previously excluded and enabling them to have some little money that they can now contribute towards the requisite contribution under these other government programs like UGIFT and ACDP that I've talked about. Then there is the private sector at the parish level. This is now you, the SMEs, will be there. They provide linkages to the PDM circle. Instead of the private sector dealing with 400 households in this particular parish, through the PDM circle, you will be able to get their leadership and deliver your services through that circle, which it reduces, of course, on your costs to serve these particular people. Banks will do the same through the PDM circle. Bank like Housing Finance that is here, or Finance Trust, can finance not the millions of smallholder farmers, but through their PDM circles, they can be able to reach these people. So it becomes easier in terms of cost to serve, convenience, knowing the customer that you're working with becomes much easier to handle. I'm coming towards the end of this, but I wanted to show you the parish business ecosystem. Since we're talking business here, the ecosystem that governs the implementation of the parish model. Like I've said in the earlier slide, that the parish, the PDM, the subsistence households do not work in isolation. They exist in an ecosystem at the parish level. So here on the left-hand side, you have those subsistence households. You have enterprise groups, including VSLOs, and then you have a PDM circle, which this is now the PDM environment on my left. On my right are the other members of the parish. In that, many of these that I've listed here in terms of scale would be SMEs. So, for example, there would be SMEs that would provide financial services. They would provide like mobile money agents, like bank agents. In my area, we have small people businesses that actually are operating as bank agents. So they will definitely serve these households either directly, either through the PDM circles or directly at a household level. The buyers, a lot will be produced by these subsistence households through their PDM circles. SMEs can now be able to buy from the PDM circles because the circle can now aggregate production and ensure that you have the right volumes. Then the SME buyer just takes a van or a truck to buy from one center, aggregated center. SMEs can operate as insurance agents wherever we are across the country, because as I said, insurance will be a key component under the PDM, especially for the farming enterprises. Processors, again, you could be a miller at that level. You will be supplying these enterprises directly with the feeds, because they will all need the feeds for piggery, for poultry, for dairy, and for fish. You can be the one who's actually processing food, which you can now sell like kaunga, which can be sold. But you can be an SME operating as a nucleus farmer in a particular location. The nucleus farmer will basically provide extension services, but they will also be aggregating and buying, helping these people to access markets. So you become the local agent of a bigger buyer who comes out of your parish. Then, of course, you have certified advisors, extension services. Extension is not going to be 100% driven by government, because government extension system is still weak. It doesn't reach everywhere. We need to be honest. But that public sector extension service will be supported by private sector extension advisors. This could be vet services as an SME set up in a particular district to provide vet services to the different subsistence farmers going through their PDM circles or their enterprise groups. Of course, you could be an input dealer or supplier of inputs like feeds, seeds, herbicides. You can even be a supplier of input directly, like animals, like piglets, like fish fingerlings. So SMEs here will play a bigger role. Mechanization is going to be crucial, especially in these rural areas. And SMEs play a huge role. You play a role in storage to service a big market here. And then, of course, we're looking at other services like tailoring. I saw somebody on this platform doing tailoring. In urban areas like Kampala, where we are not going to be doing farming. For example, if I am in a nyama choma, I will need those white coats that I normally see vendors put on. So as a tailor, you could probably be a bigger supplier to all these nyama choma joints that will be formed in urban areas, because they're going to be formed in accordance with the local licensing regulations. The person must be, for example, trained. The person must be checked for health purposes and pass with a health certificate. And then they must put on these, what Uganda call magando, those white gowns that people put on that differentiates them from others. Branding services will be needed across the board. Transport services. So basically any service that you think can make the business of the PDM circle or these enterprise groups a success will be much welcome in the PDM environment. So this slide is basically the PDM, the parish business ecosystem, where you're getting these subsistence households that previously we are not serving, and bringing them into the bigger business ecosystem. This is the end. Ultimately, we want to ensure that we have 10,594 vibrant parishes by the end of 2026, with SME micro enterprises and SMEs driving the transformation in each and every parish. But of course, these will eventually later link to the bigger players. I'm not saying the bigger companies will not be there, but these parishes are most likely, in terms of the PDM philosophy, are going to be vibrant parishes driven by MSMEs across the country. I will stop here and take some questions, or we start a conversation with the colleagues. Thank you very much. Ronald, are you there?
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Edward, for that elaborate sharing on the parish development model. It was a deep dive into the PDM, and I imagine many of us had bits and pieces about PDM, and I think this was a good opportunity to see the full picture. Great. So friends, there has been a lot which has been shared. I was particularly very excited about that last slide of the entire ecosystem and how each and every SME can plug into the PDM initiative. I would give us an opportunity now. We have about close to about 20 minutes. I would give another opportunity. Please just put up your hand. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat box, or you can put up your hand, and then we can be able to engage with Dr. Katende on this conversation. Let me just see. We have. I think I'll give the first opportunity to Millie. Millie, you can go and ask your question, and then we will have Robert after that. Millie, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mukasa, and thank you so much, Mr. Katende. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Thank you so much for sharing the parish development model. Every time I hear this, I learn something new. This morning, I'm thrilled by hearing that insurance is going to be compulsory for all farming enterprises. I'm requesting Mr. Katende to elaborate a little bit about this, given that our insurance companies have a low appetite for covering agricultural services. My other question, which is more of a comment, is how is the PDM integrating environmental management into the ecosystem? I'm coming from a background of where our Ugandan community is so insensitive to environmental management. Here in Kampala, people are dumping garbage everywhere. All the channels are filled up with garbage, including plastics and kavera. In the countryside, people are throwing kaveras and tins everywhere, which makes my heart bleed, because sooner or later, they will not be able to grow any food on their land. Thank you so much, Mr. Katende.
Thank you so much, Millie. I think we can hear from Robert. Robert, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Robert, representing my mall property and my mall shopping. So far, we are working with 15 developers and 200 plus SMEs to move them online and reach a wider audience of consumers. My question is, we tried to work out with the KCCA to see how we can get license, or but KCC was not willing to work with us. How is this parish model is going to assist these urban people, maybe the Nyamachoma and others, because it seems in KCC street policies, they are not there. They are nowhere to be seen. And if so, can we try maybe to make it affordable, not like they were trying to put in advertising to pay 200 per day, which is a lot for Muntua 1C. And you find other people are saying, Ania Kumanyi, like you find tricycles on the roadside, selling coffee, selling mandazi, selling other things, because a tricycle is costing 7 million. Muntua once does not have a 7 million. And then you find other kiosks like opposite Mavili's Plaza. There is a kiosk there in the middle. Well, too expensive for Muntua Wansi to afford. And then Muntua Wansi here is being chased away every time and every time. So how is this going to be handled? I don't know if I've been clear. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those questions, Robert. I think we had you loud and clear. Let me allow Barbara to come in.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning, Barbara. We can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
Yes, this is Barbara Mwagale. I'm calling in from Nagongera, Tororo. We run an SME, that is Kango Farmers Pride Limited, and we support rural women and youth who are into agriculture and small businesses. I'm excited that when you were talking about your last slide, I saw like 3 ways that we can come in as an SME to integrate with the parish development model. But my question is that with experience, we have been dealing with different farmer groups, and we have been trying to support in all different ways so that we promote agriculture. But we are challenged by the natural factors, that is the climate, whereby we sometimes have prolonged drought. And if not, you find that if the rains also come in a very dangerous way, in that they destroy even the little crop on ground. So I want you to elaborate more on how government is coming in to address the issue of the different climate factors that are affecting agriculture, because if we are to promote agriculture, those are the issues that we have to address. And then also on the side of the SMEs, like on our side, where we are looking at coming up with the irrigation systems, but also you find that they are quite very expensive to implement. Then lastly, I also want to re-echo on a point whereby somebody said that we need to do a lot to change the mindset of our people in the rural areas. Many are forming these, joining these PDM circles, specifically to tap into the opportunity of getting money, but not on what you're explaining, that they have to do the saving and then the borrowing culture. Actually, most of them think it's free money, because even us personally, we tried that kind of a model to see that we encourage registration of SLAs and encourage these farmer groups to save, but we have found that it is quite hard. Most of them would come with a mindset that maybe probably there's some free money or free service that you're going to offer. Even when we came in, whereby we're trying to give them inputs in form of loans and asking them to pay at least 40%, we discovered that a big number had to shut down the offer because they expected that they expected that we were going to give them just free things like that. So we still have a challenge, and probably you can advise or you can elaborate more on how the government is going to address such challenges of the mindset and then the climate factors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. I'll allow Winnie, and then I'll get Edward in to respond to those questions.
Thank
Winnie,
you
please
so
go ahead.
much. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry, we seem to have lost Winnie. Wow. We'll possibly get her back. Dr. Katende, you can go ahead and respond to those, and when he comes back, we'll include her in the next round.
All right, thank you very much, Ronald and colleagues for your comments. On the insurance, there has been a government insurance initiative, which was a partnership between the government of Uganda and the insurance companies, established in 2016, called the Uganda Agriculture Insurance Scheme. On that scheme, previously, the insurers, the government would subsidize the insurance premium. If you're a smallholder farmer, they would pay about 50%, and you, the farmer, you pay 50%. Under the parish development model, which we have included now, the farmer would pay only 25% of the premium, and which would basically be part of the loan. And the government of Uganda will pay 75% of the premium for the insurance. But it's a partnership. It has nothing to do with the appetite of the insurance companies to sell policies to our poor people. It's business for them, but the insurance companies under the Uganda Insurers Association is working. They are working with the government of Uganda, particularly Ministry of Finance and Uganda Insurance Regulatory Authority. The premiums, of course, are paid directly to insurance companies. Then the government subsidy is paid by the Ministry of Finance through Bank of Uganda to the insurance companies. If there is an eventuality like we recently had in Mbale that affects the insured farmer, then claims will be sent to the insurance regulatory authority, not to the insurance companies. And adjudication of the claims will then be done by the insurance regulatory authority to avoid the bias and what people have been thinking for years, that insurance companies can sell you a product easily, but when it comes to claiming, they toss you around. So the Uganda Insurance Regulatory Authority is handling the claims and will only send a note to the insurance company to pay if the claim is valid. If it is invalid, of course, the farmer will be advised. But colleagues, the bigger advantage I'm seeing from the insurance companies is beyond the compensation. Before your business, your agricultural farming enterprise is insured, the insurance company will send an expert to come and inspect the business. That insurance expert is actually, if you are in vet like me in rabbits, is a vet who will come and identify everything that is not working well on your farm. So they identify your potential risk. They give you free advice on how you can make this farm a success. And of course, they will file their report to the insurance company about the farm and recommendations of what you need to do as a farmer. So ideally, the farmer is going to be getting free technical support on how to run a successful farm, but before they even insure. And then when you insure, it's an added advantage, because then you also need to make sure that all the recommendations that were given to you are followed and you basically comply. So that is how insurance is going to work. Every person, every farmer, when you come to take a loan from your insurance, from your PDM circle, that loan will include insurance, which is embedded in it. In terms of environmental management, certainly Pillar 4 is about the environment, environmental management and the climate factors. So there will be a huge campaign by government of Uganda and non-state actors across the country to ensure that when the businesses are undertaken, they are not basically affecting our environment. For example, the president has been categorical on fish farming, that do not put your ponds in the middle of the swamp. you put your fish ponds on the sidelines of the swamp so that you do not interfere with our swamps and therefore damaging the environment. So even in play, this I'm going to combine this with a comment on KCCA. In KCCA, and I suppose in all other urban areas, I've been working with KCCA on developing their strategy for the PDM. And we were categorical in the sense that you do not want somebody to go borrow money, set up a nyama choma business in Pererwe. 3 months down the line, customers are now hooked up to his nyama and they love it so much. Then another KCCA to pick up turns up, puts their business on their securities on the truck and sends this farmer to Chitaria where he will suffer. And then the PDM loses its money. So we're working with the KCCA to avoid all that nuisance by ensuring that the Kampalan enterprises that have been identified are well prepared by the leadership of KCCA. There will be what they call an assistant ward administrator in each and every ward, the parish equivalent of the urban area. Assistant ward administrator. They will have business advisors at the division level that will be working with the enterprise groups. So if we say we have picked Nyama Choma as a business, KCCA would work with you to identify an appropriate location where you can run your business from anywhere in Kampala, but you without necessarily interfering with the bigger vision for KCCA, because we are a city. So we need to run a modern city, and so they have their own rules and regulations as KCCA, and they are putting together teams that will prepare these SMEs or these enterprise groups to comply with the law. So it is compliance before enforcement. I think previously it has been enforcement before compliance. So they are going to be supporting PDM enterprise groups and enterprise and circles to make sure that all players in KCCA under the PDM comply with the requirements of KCCA. They will also signpost them to other service providers, especially if you're maybe an SME that can supply flour, oils, cooking stoves, and things like that, to ensure that this time around, the authority becomes relevant to the people of Kampala in a way that will enable all those people to run legally successful businesses in the city that do not damage our environment, that do not disturb the convenience of the Kampala residents, the road users, and what have you. So in a nutshell, see, KCCA is committed. I'm not their spokesman, but I've seen their strategies. They are committed to make the PDM a success in Kampala by ensuring that the subsistence households are well prepared, not only on the compliance side, but also on the business side, that they are developing a compendium of businesses that can be run in KCCA in Kampala, which includes the profitability of those numerous micro enterprises, the different business models that are being used, accessibility to markets, and additional advice that the PNA's micro enterprise would need. So it's going to be huge in KCCA, and we hope that all other urban authorities across the country are going to follow suit. Lastly, forming groups. Many people are forming groups. Yes, we are aware of that, and the government has looked at all its past programs. And the uniqueness now of the PDM is that the money is sent to us, the people. It is not, you don't talk to political mobilizers, you don't talk to to civil servants who will now mobilize you to form groups for purposes of eating the money. The money is sent to us as a community. As a community, then we identify our own members that meet our own criteria, and then we know who they are, we know where they stay, and then when they apply for the money, we know how much they need and where they will be running their enterprise from. And when there is recovery, if they are defaulting, we know where they are. But of course, you still have a few cases like in urban areas with tenants who change houses every now and then. But we are handling that through the digitization efforts, so that even if you're a tenant and you move from one ward to another, at least we can follow you up using the digital systems. So the message here, especially for all the colleagues out there who interact with the locals in each and every parish, let us tell the people that this is your money. If it was a cow, basically we are using a pass on the gift. It's a pass on the gift model. It's a gift to the community, but that gift must be passed on to the different members of the community. So if Mukasa decides to default and chew the money, then Katende cannot receive. So it is upon Katende now to chase Mukasa to ensure that Mukasa gives us our money. No civil servant will be involved in the administration of these funds. They will be managed by the people themselves. The only role government can play is to send the money from Bank of Uganda to a bank account set up by the people, for the people. And of course, once it arrives there, the only role it has therefore is the monitoring of the projects that have been financed by that money, and the monitoring of the PDM circles to ensure that portfolio at risk is kept at low, non-performing loans are kept low. The audit, there definitely will be compulsory audits of all these PDM circles, but the actual management and the running of the operation, the day-to-day operations of the circle will be by the people themselves. I want to stop here. I saw Winnie has come back. Maybe, Ronald, if I can take her question, and then we go home.
All right. Thanks a lot, Edward. Winnie, you can go. I've asked you to unmute.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Katende, and thank you, Mr. Mukasa, for the opportunity. I'm sorry I got off earlier on. The data was not enough, but I'm glad I'm back. So my name is Widi Dabukera. I'm a nurse sonographer by profession. Actually, I'm so excited. I've been able to pick a lot of insights related to PDM. I've been hearing about it, but I didn't know how I can benefit as a person. So I lead an organization that is called Little Win Foundation. We create awareness about health, in particular about HIV/AIDS, and we have a school model program on where we use it to go to the different schools, universities, institutions, preaching about HIV and health. But we also go about in community areas and also worship houses, preaching the gospel about health. So I wanted to inquire Mr. Katende, how does Little Win Foundation as an organization that tackles health benefit from that? Because when I saw among the category of the beneficiaries, I saw people dealing in health, but they have clinics or maybe public health centers. So I just wanted to inquire Mr. Katende, how does Winnie that impact people in her community, into the students in the schools? How does she benefit and her team benefit from the Parish model program? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Winnie. I don't know, Christmas seems to have fallen off. Robert, you can have the final go, then I will invite back Dr. Katende to share with us.
Okay, thank you so much, but I think I will have to meet Mr. Katende also in person. Maybe you can share the email, but I forgot to raise something. It's about we are in the digital space. We are moving these SMEs, and the next move is to move the farmers online so that they can fight, or they can participate in the digital age. But now we are finding a problem whereby the data is really so high, because actually this Mr. Katende is the under Parish development model. These farmers, they are using smartphones. We are signing up an agreement with the MCOPA to see that, but even the phones are still high. I don't know if there is a way we can help our people to access affordable phones. At least maybe they can remove the tax or a waiver or something, and then also on the internet, because really we don't need to learn from our past mistakes. The COVID-19 showed us that things are possible. We can move, we can work from home, and we can move online. I don't know if there is a way you can help us on that issue. I don't know if I'm raising it to you, but I think the parish development model, you're going to need IT guys. You're going to need us to enhance the quality. And thank you.
Thanks a lot, Robert. That question was clear. Let me allow Crispus to ask a question. Crispus, are you there? Crispus, are you there? All right. I'm not getting Crispus. Adam? Adam, are you there?
Yes, good morning, people.
Good morning, Adam.
My name is Vakavinze Adam. I work with the Namutumba District Local Government as a principal commercial officer. Yeah, I have a few. I can hear some.
All right. Sorry, Adam, please, you can go ahead. Sorry, we had a bit of an interruption there. So please go ahead. Adam, are you there? Yes,
I'm
Adam,
saying,
please go ahead. Yes, please.
I have a few concerns, and
yes,
one
please.
is about the non-disclosure or inadequate disclosure of information, especially about the products that come up, that government brings up. The first one is, I heard Mr. Katende talking about the Uganda Agriculture Insurance Scheme. You find that, like me, I've just heard about it for the first time, but we've been going to the community, giving out the information about PDM, but we didn't know about such a scheme, which is very important to our people. There is that one of the agriculture credit facilities. Sometimes government labors to bring up programs like that one, a scheme like the agriculture credit facilities. But when they go to these commercial banks, they don't want to disclose this information. Instead, this money is used on other people where they get interest, a lot of interest. So I think this time around, there will be need at least to emphasize such issues so that information is brought out very clearly. The other thing is about the first general meetings for the circles. Maybe I will request Mr. Katende to bring more light about that, because as I speak now, in our district, we haven't started about it because of some kind of miscommunications. They tell you, wait, and time is running out. To reach a time like we had last financial year, at the end of the closure of the financial year, we were told to do so many activities, and we got issues with the people. maybe the other thing is about, no, for now, I think let me stop there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam. I think those were very good pieces of information, and Dr. Katende will respond to them. Barbara, you still have your hand up. I don't know whether from previously. If you had something to, you can quickly put it in, and then we can wrap up.
Okay, thank you very much. Barbara again here. I just want to re-echo on what Robert was saying. We suggest government to really work on the issue of the taxes that have been imposed on social media and data bundles, because those are one of the tools that we can use to promote the parish development model. But you find that, for example, if you are to tap into the digital world, you need to use data bundles, but you find that they're very expensive because of the high taxes. And then also, this is a suggestion directly to Robert. He said they're into the ICT platform, and I think they come up with some kind of, I think, an app or apps that they're trying to see that they can use to train maybe the different farmers and then the other people who are going to be benefiting from the parish development model. I suggest that as you come up with such an idea, would you think of simplifying it to also consider having it in the local languages? For example, I speak from the space of the rural setting. You find that in most of our people, it becomes a challenge to pass on this knowledge and information because of the language barrier. So if you could come up maybe with research, maybe let us say apps or digital platforms that can be used in the local language, I think that will be an adapt. And then lastly, you were talking of using smartphones. With experience from the rural setting, you find that it is very hard for, let us say, a farmer to afford a smartphone. Would you think of simplifying the digital, the ICT bit of it to using analog button phones, because that is what the majority can afford, and the best also on the level of education, that's what the majority can be able to use in a simplified mode. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. I saw Crispus come back, but I think I've lost him. So yeah, Crispus, please go ahead, and then I can invite Edward back to wrap up. Yes, hello? Crispus. Yes, please.
I'm now there. Yes. Implementing on Barbara's what is saying.
Oh, Crispus, you could possibly first introduce yourself, and then you can proceed.
I'm Kamugisha Crispus. I'm from Vueju. I work with the Vueju local government. Basing on Barbara's the education level of people, some groups are not. You find there are people who are not even educated, and according to this model, it is targeting the households in those villages who are not educated, and it is ruling out from what I've been hearing from explanations of the parish chief. They are ruling employees of the government. Don't you think it would be good if these employees are included to help those people in the villages?
All right. Thank you so much, Crispus. We missed a bit, but I think Dr. Katende, the question was how we engage the parish chiefs in the implementation of the PDM. So, Doctor, you could just wrap that up, and then we can close our meeting for the day.
Yeah, thank you, Ronald. I will respond in no particular order, but particularly. I think Crispus, you had also earlier posted a question on the chat. Why are civil servants sidelined? I don't know whether it's sidelined in the sense of benefiting from the PDM or sidelined in the sense of participation as civil servants in making it work. But in terms of the target audience, certainly every government, every initiative, whether it's a donor, comes with its own rules. The policy by government of Uganda has been, let us focus on the Ugandans who are currently in the subsistence economy and are playing in the agricultural sector. That is where we are. And therefore, you as a civil servant, you have your job. You are not in the category of the Ugandans in subsistence agricultural sector. So that's the focus of the policy makers. However, there are different initiatives that government has come up with, of course, apart from paying their salaries. They have their circles, teachers' circles for teachers. But at the end of the day, they are not the government's main focus for now. The focus is to get our people who have not earned even 100,000 a year to earn. We want to enable them to earn. That's the initial focus. In the future, certainly the basket, the net will be expanded to include as many other Ugandans as possible. But for now, the focus is on those subsistence households. It's a policy directive. Then the brother from Namutumba, you're right on the issue of information. One of the weaknesses of government has been dissemination of information across the country. Of course, it's a very expensive exercise, but the system has been weak. One of the reasons why the PDM is coming up is to improve on communication flow. As a commercial officer, you have been trained previously on how to form circles on the PDM generally, and more training is coming to the districts. The government from the center will be training civil servants at the district level, but it is in a modular manner. So previously, the module was on entering the community, which was on community meetings, community mobilization, formation of enterprise groups, formation of the circle, capitalization of the circle. That's where you have been trained so far. Then the next phase, that money is in the communities. What do we now do? So the circle managers must know how to handle the money. So they will be trained, of course, on governance. They will be trained on loan management. And of course, you will help them if you have already not done so to hold the first general meeting. So under loan management as this topic, all these issues I've talked about, like insurance and what have you, will be, and you will get papers, literature, so you can give to your people. But the initial module, the first phase was on community entry, community awakening. But now that we are in the communities, we are happy to continue with deeper engagement. Then he also talked about the issue of wait. I can definitely assume that you're referring to the void in information flow from the center to the local governments since the financial year, the last financial year ended and there is a new financial year. What caused that was there was a lot of mixed messages. There was a lot of lack of clarity on certain topics from the policy perspective. And there needed to be a political a guidance from the National Policy Committee. That committee sat on Monday and the clarity has been given. You must have heard when we came to train you that the training was emphasizing no role for parish chiefs as an example. But when the ministers came for the sensitization, they were talking about the parish chief being a principal signatory. So we needed to seek cabinet guidance on the subject. And on Monday, Cabinet guided that the parish chief has no role in the management of the affairs of the SAC, as per the guidelines which you have received on this subject. So the weight was necessitated by a number of administrative issues at the center, and very soon the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies will reach out to the local governments to advise you now of the next stage, now that there is clarity from the National Policy Committee. Then Winnie, as a medical practitioner, of course, the PDM is not for everybody. We may try as much as possible to include as many players as possible, but the issue is that we cannot have everybody to benefit. However, if you are a medical practitioner and you offer a service, for example, in nutrition, Pillar 4 is about health, education, and what have you. Nutrition in that pillar is going to be very crucial. So how do we, what products have you come up with that you can particularly sell to these households that previously had no money, but now they will have money to buy? Because you see, the SMEs must also look at themselves as suppliers of, or sellers of useful products. We have about 16 million Ugandans in the subsistence economy. If we bring those people out of the subsistence economy and give them an income, a disposable income, you have additional demand for any of the services that you're offering at a household level or product that you're offering. So that's the theory of change. Put money in the pockets of these households, create additional effective demand, which can now be tapped into by different businesses and practitioners. Then on the issue of affordable home, affordable phones and internet, I will still refer you back to the beginning of my presentation, or I think at the end when I said that the PDM implementation is more like shipbuilding, refine as it sails. So more improvements will be made on the model and its delivery based on feedback like the one you have just given us, that will enable the government to fine-tune implementation based on the realities on the ground. So I take your point and I will definitely pass it on to the big people, decision makers, to ensure that whenever they think about future improvements in the PDM implementation, the issue of affordability of these gadgets is looked into. But on one hand, for example, one of the areas where the government is already doing something here is on the SMS, because when you, whatever will be happening at on your bank account at the PDM circle level, messages will be sent to people to know that money has been paid out of your account. Those SMSs will go. If I have, for example, applied for a loan to my circle, I can receive a message if I have used my phone that your loan has been submitted. When your loan is approved, you get a message that your loan has been approved. So the cost of doing all those SMS messages is currently being negotiated by the Ministry of ICT with UCC to ensure that government can pick up the tab for such costs. So we'll definitely, they will be communicating a lot using text messages, and they want to reduce the bundle costs for SMSs. But on the phones, definitely, probably that will be in the next phase, but certainly I will pass on the message to the decision makers. Colleagues, I want to stop there, but I want to thank Enterprise Uganda for having given me this opportunity to share on the subject that I'm very passionate about. And I want to appeal to all colleagues online there as business people that the PDM success is going to mainly depend on how businesses support these subsistence households. We should not leave it to government alone to deliver. Government does not run any successful business in Uganda. You do. So we want to borrow your expertise. We want to rely on you to provide whatever support that is available to these micro enterprises that are going to be supported under the PDM. We want you to play an active role in the other pillars, like the pillar on infrastructure services, where when there is a big pothole in the road next to you, the subsistence household may not bother about it because he just foots, he doesn't care about it, but you care about it. So you must report it, because PDM will be about building good infrastructure for our people. So participate in those pillars. Participate in the pillar on health, on social services. Our children must get quality education, regardless of whether they come from subsistence households or any member of the parish. So please pay attention to the education services in your parish. Pay attention to the medical health services in your parish. Pay attention to the infrastructure like storage, like ICT, like electricity, water in your community, because this has nothing to do with whether you're poor or not. The water is for the village, the electricity serves all of us, the road serves all of us. So I just want to appeal to all of you that please don't see PDM as a government instrument. It is a service delivery mechanism that should improve the quality of life of all Ugandans. But the pillar on financial inclusion and the pillar one focus more on the poorest of the poor, but all the other pillars should benefit all of us as Ugandans, and therefore all of us must speak interest and make a contribution. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Edward, for that elaborate submission. I want to send a big thank you to everyone who has joined us on the call. It's such an honor to have you here. We are very grateful for you coming through and listening to this subject. Dr. Katende has done a good job to paint a picture of where we want to go and the aspirations of PDM. But more importantly, the fact that each and every person on this call has a role to play for its success. So that was the purpose of the session today. We want to say a big thank you. We'll be back next Thursday at the same time at 9. We want to say thank you so much for joining, and we appreciate, we know we overran our time by about 30 minutes, but I believe it was for a good cause to allow us to be able to grow. Once again, from Enterprise Uganda, thank you so much. Dr. Katende, please deliver appreciation to to your team when you go back for allowing you to come and join us and share with us these elaborate ideas about the parish development model. The Entrepreneurship World Cup is still on. Please do register. Make sure if you're registered, the deadline is coming up within 2 weeks. So please do come out and register. We would be grateful to have more and more of that engagement. Do follow Dr. Katende on social media platforms. Possibly, Doctor, you could put some of those in the chat so that you can be able to engage with him. Get this conversation out there. We have a recording of this. We'll be sharing it with you. If you have a friend who did not attend, please share it with them and say that, you know what, we can possibly get the best out of the parish development model. Once again, a big thank you and have a lovely day. We look forward to seeing you next time. Dr. Katende has shared his phone contact. Please do reach out to him if you want to catch up with him and we can get through with this. All the best and have a lovely week.